for November 7th. Roll call, please.
Pledge?
As long as the city.
Do we
I'll
do the
get
pledge?
it after the
Okay.
roll call.
Oh, okay. So, pardon, I forgot I'm going out of order. It's my fault. Albany,
You're the one that has welcome and roll call. I'm just following the agenda.
Berkeley, Dublin,
Here.
Emeryville,
Still here.
Fremont,
Here.
Hayward,
Here.
Livermore,
Here.
Oakland, Piedmont is excused, San Leandro,
Present.
Union City, Community Advisory Committee,
Here.
Alameda County.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Sorry, I forgot what I was doing. All right, Stephanie, now you can lead us in the pledge.
All right, we're going to say it loud. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, wonderfully done. All right, public comment, a time in which you can speak to anything that's not on today's agenda. If you all cooperate with me, I can get you out relatively early today. I have no speakers. Anybody wish to speak under public comment? Okay, approval of minutes, or actually a consent calendar, which consists of the approval of the minutes from October 17th and contracts entered into, and it's an informational item. How do you have an informational item on the consent calendar?
That's how we agreed to bring back the contracts for you for review of the monthly reports.
Okay, so then I guess at this point I am fishing for a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. No, you made it.
Oh,
I was
think you
fishing.
were fishing.
Who's going to second?
I'll motion.
I have a motion and a second, so it's standing over my, making sure I do everything right. Is there any objection to the motion? Motion will pass with the roll call and attendance. Item 6, CEO report. That's you, Nick.
So the CEO report just consists of an update on the enrollment. So can we put that slide up there? Okay. So last Thursday we started enrollment of our phase 2, so residential customers, and so throughout the month of November we will be enrolling our 500 or so thousand residential customers. So that's a big step for us. To date, our opt-outs are for phase 2 residential opt-outs are 1.3%, which is putting us generally on track for roughly 2% opt-out rate, which is very much what we expected. We're very pleased by that level of opt-out. One thing that we did note was quite a spike in opt-outs in the week or so prior to November 1st, and now we've seen a very significant reduction. That's actually expected, because when people receive their notices, they see November 1 is when the service starts. So a lot of folks who want to opt out will try to opt out before. So you'll get the notice, you think, oh, I need to opt out, and then suddenly, oh, I have a week to do it, and there's a rush. So that's something that's been observed in other CCAs, and we observed it too, and we've seen a very significant slowdown post-November 1. So I think we're very pleased with where we stand as it relates to opt-outs.
So Livermore has the highest amount of opt-outs?
It does. It does. So we have been pursuing, more outreach in Livermore. We've worked with the city staff to do outreach through Nextdoor. So the city of Livermore used their agency account to post about EBCE. We have been attending events at the library. We attended a Business Expo event. I think we've identified this as an area of focus, and we've been working to create more awareness around what we're doing. There is an effect when you do more outreach. You create more awareness, and more awareness may lead to higher opt-outs. That is that is also an observed effect in certain CCAs where the more outreach you do, the more awareness you create, and that will necessarily drive some higher level opt-out. But again, overall, I think we're very happy with where we stand as it relates to opt-outs. And
so what was our overall, our total percentage is 1.3?
1.3, yep. And
can you tell me, Nick, when did was there a spike in the Livermore opt-outs?
Yeah, the spike really was that last week and a half prior to November 1st. So there were a lot of...
right when CTV started running the information that Annie and I did?
I'd have to go back and look to see whether the two are related. What we did see though is there were two articles in sort of local newspaper. One was an article about just the conflict around the power charge indifference adjustment, and then there was another article covering some solar facilities that are being proposed. And there's opposition from a local group, the Friends of Livermore Valley, I believe. And that second article wasn't anti-CCA. They very explicitly said, we support community choice, but that also could be an explanation. It's just those two sort of not necessarily 100% positive articles drove some incremental opt-outs.
Okay. Any questions on this item? All right, Nick, you going to keep going or what?
Yep. So that is that. So now we're on to item 8, which is the adopt a resolution amending the conflict of interest code. So this is
wait. Time out.
What about 7?
No, we're on item 7, which is the community advisory committee report. Did you wish to make one today?
No, we didn't have a meeting this week, so no report.
Perfect. Thank you. Told you I can get you guys out of here early. All right, go ahead, Nick. Move to the resolution on the conflict of interest. Sure, this will be pretty controversial.
Each public agency is obligated to have a public conflict of interest code. EBCE adopted a conflict of interest code last January. Since then, we've had several new hires. While we've complied with the filing obligations, it's time to update the code to reflect that those employees need to file Form 700. So we amended the code to add 7 positions, to include 7 positions in the conflict of interest code, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions? Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved in second. Mindell and Ducci-Bonacci, any objection to the motion? Motion will pass without objection. I told you that'd be controversial. Item 9.
So item 9 is a staff recommendation to form 2 board subcommittees. So this would bring us to 3 subcommittees, an executive committee, and then two additional subcommittees. The first subcommittee would be a subcommittee focused on marketing, regulatory, and legislative matters. The second subcommittee would be focused on finance, administration, and procurement. These subcommittees would meet likely, once a month between board meetings, and would cover, informational items related to these topics, and allow for, greater discussion, more in-depth discussion about these items between board meetings.
So just a little bit of background. I actually brought this forward to the executive director because, first of all, not for those of you who are here for the first time may not know this, but although this meeting is going to go rather swimmingly, sometimes we're here 2.5, 3 hours, and I thought by implementing a subcommittee situation where we could have a group of members of the board that would really drill down on the issues and then make reports, I thought would be a little bit more helpful, like we do some at the other regional bodies that we all serve on. And also, a second reason I wanted to do this is I think it gives the rest of the board members an opportunity to serve on subcommittees. If you're not on the executive committee, it will give people also the ability to be on other subcommittees. So I thought that was important to kind of get a little bit more involvement. Director Bacon?
Do you know what time these would be meeting? You mentioned...
I think they'll probably, no, I don't. I think it will be up to the committee.
Okay.
We haven't really thought that far, but do you have suggestions?
Well, if we're meeting usually the third Wednesday, so I assume it would be like the first Wednesday, or...
You know what, I think we need to, work with the committee. I will say
Okay.
that, we're going to try to organize them in a way to kind of...
I think the main thing is that we make sure that there continued to be, first of all, that we can have the participation from the board members, but also be available to where the public can be able to come and take part also.
Okay, well, I'm flexible and willing to help out, so.
Okay, and then if we do pass this, I think as they do in other committees, you would just let the chair know what committees you want to serve on, then we'll put the committees together and hopefully you'll get what you asked for. Director Mandel.
So I applaud the chair for bringing this forward. Any thought to allowing alternates to serve if there are if there's insufficient interest from the board members to fill up a committee?
I haven't. I didn't think about that. Well, we can let the committees discuss this, or we can bring this to the executive committee. I think one of the things we'd want to be careful, though, and I'm not saying the idea is not a good idea, but one of the things we want to be careful of, part of it is to bring a little bit more information to us as members of the board, and if that information is going to an alternate who then doesn't disseminate the information, I would be concerned about that. But I mean, it certainly is up to the board. We can send that to the executive committee for more discussion.
Yeah, I would suggest that if there are not board members who want the spot.
Okay. Director Ducci Bonacci.
Yes, I'm certainly happy to serve on a subcommittee. However, for the months of February, March, and probably April, I probably would be missing that meeting because it's tax season and I'll be very busy.
All right. We all have real jobs. Well, council members do. Supervisors don't. That is our real job. We can't get jobs. All right, enough. I dug a big enough hole. Stebbins and Tovar. Yeah, I know. Turn it on. There you go.
Barbara Stebbins with East Bay Clean Power Alliance for the new people in the room tonight. We are an organization that represents about 60 other community organizations. We try and represent the interests of those organizations at the Community Choice Board of Directors meetings, also at the Community Advisory Committee meetings. We try to attend the Executive Committee meetings, and now you're talking about 2 more meetings. And just so you're aware, that will probably, impair our capacity. We probably don't have capacity to really fully cover all of those meetings. But we're just one alliance of several community organizations. I mean, we see how it offers the opportunity for the board members to get more involved with various issues that come up, and also does increase opportunities. But I think we just would like you to be aware of every time you do that, it also has certain repercussions. We would hope that it wouldn't eliminate robust discussion before the full board, because if we're trying to get community organizations to send representatives in the evening for board meetings is usually when we can get them to come. So it would be important to us that there's still discussion, and we're happy that these subcommittees are for discussion purposes rather than decision-making bodies. But just to be aware of those issues, and when they're held will affect who can come. Too. If they're held during the day, people who get paid to come will probably be able to come. And if they're held in the evening, people who are interested and want to come but have day jobs will be more able to come.
Yeah,
so.
I totally understand what you're saying, Barbara. And this isn't something where we're trying to stifle public input. What I would say, though, is I don't know if something was just missaid, but I do envision the committee recommending to the full board direction on items. So I think they will be. I think that on kind of the smaller items that are generally not controversial, like this very controversial conflict of interest one
Yeah,
we just dealt
that
with,
was a hot topic.
I would see that then move to a consent calendar if it goes through committee. But on something that was maybe a little bit more meaty, such as rate increases, things like that, that would be a standalone item in which there would be, again, a full discussion at the full board. I mean, I view this as continuing to educate the board a little bit more, having the ability to spend time drilling down on issues, and maybe having members of the board that are really interested, say, in procurement, that are really zeroing in on the discussion on procurement or finance. And then when they come to the board, they make a report to us too as to what was discussed. So I think this is just another layer of, being transparent, to be very honest with you.
Can I ask a quick other question? Might it be possible for advocacy organizations that prepare, for instance, for, now I'm going to forget the number, 813, AB 813, the one that was a fairly controversial regionalization of Cal ISO. We had people we were really hoping could speak to board members about it. Might this be an opportunity to do that? The subcommittees where it's discussion, if we plan ahead?
Well, I think that's kind of the way committees work, and they're, like I said, I think this is only an opportunity to make us better.
Okay.
To be very honest with you.
Great.
Jessica?
Thank you.
I don't think I need to say any more, but
okay.
I'll just add, yeah, it's really important for us, obviously, the transparency, getting the agendas and all the information in time so that people can make the decisions they need to, and the ability to get here to the meetings. And it's not always easy for some groups to get to Hayward or in other places as well. So with that, I just want to also say congratulations on the launch. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, with that, so I'll bring it back to the board for discussion and action.
So, if I may?
Go ahead.
So I'll move the recommendation with the modification that alternates be allowed to serve if board members don't want to spot.
Can we discuss that? And can we discuss that at executive committee? I mean, you can see if you get a second, but I think that's kind of a...
if I don't get a second, then we can do it without that.
Yeah, you can do it. Throw it out.
Second.
There, you got your second. All right. Now I got to think about this.
Had to put one meaty item on tonight's agenda, right?
Not really. You didn't. Would have been nice to get out of here. So you're saying that instead of sending Mendel to the committee meeting, we're now going to send your alternate to every committee meeting?
It would be more like if
or would you be the member of the committee?
No,
and
no,
you want
not
to be able to send your alternate.
What I envisioned was that if, let's say, you want 3 members of the marketing committee. Let's say there's only 1 board member who has any interest in serving on the marketing committee, but there are 2 alternates who would like to serve. Then you'd have those alternates be the members of the committee.
That's not. Let's go ahead, Dan.
I'm sorry for missing the earlier presentation. I think the purpose of an alternate is when a committee member is unable to attend something for whatever reason, sick or something like that, and then the alternate goes in its place on a one-off basis. You're suggesting a new role for alternates that I've never heard of before,
right? And
I'm not comfortable with that.
I'm not either. Yeah, and I think that. The purpose of this is to try to get us more involved, and I also believe that, for example, it would be me, Dan, and Melissa, and then and we're representing our communities, and I'm not sure if you're just, I just don't see logistically how that works, and I don't think that's getting to what I was trying to get at. But we can take a roll call vote and see if you get what you want. Anybody else wish to comment on this?
Yeah, as a secondary, I'll comment. Yeah, I didn't quite understand that it was a different role for alternates that you were suggesting, Al. So, yeah, I don't think that's quite what I would had in mind either. So I'll withdraw my second.
All right. Chair, is there a second to the motion?
Yeah, no, I don't want to second it. I kind of look at it as like, let's cross that bridge when we get there. I mean, if turns out we don't have enough people to form a committee, we can then look at alternates or others. But I think I'm hoping we'll have enough to say, fine, we have a subcommittee of regular members.
Well, I tend to agree. I think that my hope is that amongst us, we all want to serve at least on one committee. And the way these 3 committees are designed, it does give us each the opportunity to be on a committee. For example, I'm on executive right now, so I would not apply for either one of these other committees, but I would hope that we could get 3 other board members to serve on at least each of these committees. So we still don't have a second on the motion, so I'm going to, okay, the motion fails. So you want to make another one?
I'll move the staff recommendation.
Thank you. Motion is seconded by Bacon. Any objection to the motion?
I just have a question.
Under discussion, Director Cobb.
And again, this was probably presented, and I apologize for being late. Are we determining today how many board members are on each committee?
No, I think there would be at least 3. Try to make it an odd number. There certainly wouldn't be, a quorum of the board, but I think 3 would probably be. Our admin code doesn't discuss this at all, does it?
It simply says that there are certain things you can't delegate to a committee, but it doesn't.
Yeah, I think we're envisioning probably 3 on each of the committees. To be honest with you.
It's realistic.
Yeah, so it would probably be 3 members.
Okay, thank you.
And so is there any, Director Coates?
So you would bring it back, you'd bring the, after getting interest from the board members, you'd bring back the composition of the committees to this body for approval, or to the executive committee for approval, or?
Well, yes, it would come to this body.
Okay.
I don't think the executive committee should just approve it and not have.
Okay.
I think what I should do is bring it forward as the chairman, saying these are who I'd like to serve on these committees, and then you guys would say, great job, or you're all wet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, with that, is there any objection to the motion? Motion passed without objection. Item 10. So Stephanie will be sending out a message, by the way, by the end of the week, asking what committees you would like to serve on. Please get back to her so we can work on that and get it done. Okay?
Item 10 is a staff recommendation to approve the staff recommendation for staff to pursue negotiations an office space lease agreement to bring back to this board in the beginning of next year. We want to use 5 criteria for the selection of our of the office space that we would move into, and they are adjacent to a BART station, centrally located in Alameda County. So that's Emeryville, Oakland, Hayward, San Leandro, and Hayward. That kind of central corridor. Class A office space, able to accommodate 30 to 40 staff. Large enough, a space that's large enough to be able to host subcommittees, executive committees, and CAC meetings, and a cost that is within the approved budget that was set in June. So those are the 5 criteria that we want to apply, and within those 5 criteria, we're asking for basically the approval of those criteria. We will go out and search and bring back a recommendation with an associated lease agreement.
So I generally agree with all of this, but I don't want to preclude, me personally don't want to preclude saying that this couldn't go in Union City. I think we're all here, we're all members, and I think the idea of us being adjacent to a BART station is a good idea, but I also believe that, and I'm not just saying Union City, but I'm saying Fremont too, that anything on a BART line in Dublin should, and I feel sorry for Livermore, I'm sorry, but maybe someday we will get you some sort of rail out there. Yeah, I know, good luck. We'll all be very old by then. But I think we should take criteria, my wish is that we take criteria 2 out and just say that we would look adjacent to a BART station. And hopefully, you know, because I think the rents play a factor too. But you know, you may very well wind up here in Hayward or even north. But I think everything should be on the table. So I want to know what anybody else thinks on that. Go ahead, Director.
So I don't disagree with that. I mean, that there's value in being centrally located, but don't have to limit it there. Along those same lines, I wouldn't limit it to just Class A office space. I would include Class B as well. That has the potential to reduce the cost significantly and widen the universe of potential fits. So I would open it up to Class A and B, in addition to your change, Chair.
Okay. Yeah, Director Carlin.
Yeah, I would agree with Director Haggerty. I think eliminating number 2 is a good idea because I found it a little odd that Emeryville was considered in the center of Alameda County. No offense to my colleague from Emeryville, but I think just having it on a BART line would be much more important than a specific central location. So I would agree with Director Haggerty.
I will also note, you know, a major criteria here is the proximity of our staff. And so, you know, that just, you know, that plays a role of, you know, if we go too far north, south, east, we significantly increase commute times for staff, and that's going to be a key factor from my perspective. You know, the folks that have to go to work every day, you know, need to be able to get there in a, you know, convenient fashion. So that's part of the rationale for those locations as well. But certainly, you know,
I hear that, but maybe staff may want to live in Pleasanton. So,
yeah.
You know, I mean, look, I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and I have no doubt in my mind that you'll probably find something in Oakland, you know, San Leandro, somewhere up here. I totally get that. So just try to make us happy on this one and say you're
absolutely
going to look at everything.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, I mean,
we will make those 2 adjustments.
If you take out central location, it doesn't preclude arriving at what you just stated, right?
Yeah, no, it does not at all. It does not at all.
Yeah, Director Call.
Adjacent to BART means like within 2-3 blocks,
yeah.
quarter mile. It's not like literally.
No, but walking distance, yeah. Comfortable walking distance.
Well, that what the standard is they use is a quarter of a mile.
Yeah. Or Lime bike. If there's a Lime scooter there, you know, then we can go a little bit further.
Man. Wear your Heelys. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Question to the CEO. In regards to choosing your location, are you using like a price matrix regarding terms, square footage, amenities? Are you going to bring maybe 2 or 3 locations that might have the best value?
I do not expect that we would bring multiple options. I think we would bring one option with a lease agreement associated with it. We will definitely bring the criteria we use to make the selection, which would include a price matrix. So we would do a price analysis, and we would say, here's the 5 sites that we evaluated, and here's how we ended up with, you know, the preferred site. These are the terms of the lease, and we're seeking approval to execute the lease.
Do you use points against it by any chance, like that you weight something higher, the rates versus the amenities, and looking at that and proximity for staff?
I don't have a specific weighting, a weighting in mind.
Okay, perfect. I do some of this work, that's why I was just curious.
No. But certainly if you have thoughts, I'd be happy to sort of have a discussion with you about sort of criteria you'd like to see us apply.
Whatever makes staff happy.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. It is an action item.
I'll move it.
Got a motion? Second. Is there any objection to the motion? Oh, and that motion says that we'll look everywhere within a quarter of a mile of BART line. Is that what we're saying here?
Yes.
Or did you leave item 2 in?
I think it's as amended, Class A or Class B, centrally located in Alameda County. It can be inclusive of Fremont. And I think those are the 2 adjustments I saw.
And Lake Tahoe.
If only you can get an Airbnb there.
So I'm sorry, the acoustics in here is pretty bad. Are you saying?
So Class A and B, I think those are the parameters that we're trying to open up that net. I think there was a comment about Fremont, so we want to make sure it's inclusive and possibly evaluated. I think that was the
So within a BART line, within a quarter of a mile of a BART line, is that what kind of the direction the staff is?
BART station. It would be walkable from the BART station.
Does that work?
Yes, sir.
So that's what your motion is stating?
That is my motion.
Thank you. Okay, you're okay with that, Dan? You were the second, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, any objection to the motion? Motion passed without objection. Board member, or, well, first of all, any board member comments? All right, this is good, isn't it? Staff announcements, any? Any staff announcements?
No staff announcements.
That's a record.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it is.
Well done.
I think the steering committee meeting might have won.
Huh?
The steering committee meeting, I think that one.